Well, I agree with Brett Favre. And in bringing Brett Favre to New York when we did, one of the things that I felt was important, and we had a system in place, but I wanted to make sure that we gave Brett the things that he did that made him as successful as he was, because he had a tremendous amount of success for a long time, and for us to suddenly bring him in and say, okay, all that's great, but you're going to just do it this way. I don't think that's good business. I don't think that's the best use of a guy's talents. Now, that being said, there is an element of these are other things that we want to do, and we feel is important, and there's got to be some give and take. And I felt that Brett did a good job with that. We tried to cater things to him, but he also really worked to do things the way that we wanted to do in other areas. So there was good give and take. Now, where I'm curious or concerned about this relationship is the comments about working against other teams that just came out. And where he says, you know, Aaron says, I don't want to work with another team for the next 14 years or 17 years or however long it was.
He said 14 years. He said if he doesn't have another joint practice for the next 14 years, it'll be fine.
Yeah, and LaFleur and that Rams system, they really love practicing with other teams because they don't play anybody in the preseason. So that's the way that they get the starters their preseason work in a controlled environment, and there's a rationale behind it, and you can get some really good things from it.
No doubt.
So there's no need to come out and say, look, if you don't like it, okay, that's fine. But then he follows it up with, well, this guy got blown up and that guy got blown up, and I'm sure the NFLPA is going to take a look at the way that we did this drill. And that, to me, is now we're going to another place. Now you're stirring things up that it's just unnecessary, and that could all be addressed in-house.
And listen, Aaron Rodgers is probably going to talk a little more about a little more diversity of things than you would like and than a lot of people would like, because that's who Aaron's been. And I think that is potentially a separate issue than the one about he and his relationship with Matt LaFleur and Matt LaFleur's play calling and how much Matt LaFleur is going to bend his system and how much Aaron Rodgers is going to bend what he's done for 14 years or for 11 years as a starter that's made him as successful as he's been. And so I also, in this article about Favre's interview, they also mentioned the 2003 season for Brett Favre, which was the year he had the best running game he ever had. Ahman Green went for 1,800 yards that year, I think 17, 18 touchdowns. And Favre that year, highest completion percentage of his career, led the NFL in touchdown passes, despite having one of the fewest total yards passing he's had any year of his career. And that, to me, is as instructive of anything in the interview, which is, how can Matt LaFleur help Aaron Rodgers? Well, with the Titans, they ran the ball nearly 50% of the time. Last year, the Packers ran at 32%, the lowest in the NFL. Can Matt LaFleur bring more balance to the Packers running game, to the Packers offense, take more pressure off Aaron Rodgers so Aaron Rodgers can still be great, but that's not their only path to victory? I think that is instructive in this as well, because I think once they get to the line of scrimmage, if Aaron Rodgers wants to audible, he's probably going to audible. If Aaron Rodgers thinks there's something he sees in the defense that he doesn't want to wait, as you would talk about, till the series is over to look at the pictures to discuss, he's probably going to change that then and there. So where can LaFleur help him in other spots? Where can LaFleur help the offense in other spots? That, to me, will determine as much as anything whether or not this partnership's going to be successful.
I'm going to address the first part, the one that was most annoying to me, and that was the part about the practices. And let you know, Aaron Rodgers does not know how to put a football team together. I would much rather get on a bus, which we used to do in Minnesota, and go to River Falls and practice against Tony Dungy and the Kansas City Chiefs. Man, they had two cornerbacks that would, if you weren't ready to practice, Albert Lewis and
was it Dale
Ross.
Ross.
Kevin Ross.
Kevin Ross.
Oh, my goodness. If you weren't ready to practice, in 7-on-7, they played 25 snaps of bump and run. Tony Dungy's running their defense. Herm Edwards is their defensive back coach. So not only in those times that I go against some of the better DBs, but I had these great coaches critiquing my game, letting me know ways that I might be able to improve, discussions that I would have. We would sit down for lunch, and I used to tell guys, take 2 Advil before the first practice, take 2 Advil before the second practice, because these practices are more taxing than any other NFL practices. And I saw how you can develop. They've taken hitting out of football. They're practicing less. They've made this game so easy for the quarterbacks. But Aaron Rodgers just let me know He does not know the physicality that you have to have putting a team together and the speed for which you can practice against the opposition. That's the way you break up 6 weeks of training camp. This is going to be problems for Matt LaFleur. All right? I can tell y'all right now, because Brett Favre, when you got him, he was well seasoned. But John Gruden, as a quarterback coach, and Mike Holmgren will tell you, man, Brett Favre gave them nightmares. And he did the opposite sometime of what they told him to do. And Aaron Rodgers has it in him. Matt LaFleur, this is going to be tough. To me, this is just about a running game. Green Bay is trying to be physical on the defensive side. Can they be physical on the offensive side? Last year, it was impossible. Only 4 games, they rushed the ball for 25 more attempts. Only the Atlanta Falcons were worse than them. So if Matt LaFleur is going to help Aaron Rodgers will let him dictate what they're going to run, give Aaron some flexibility inside the offense, but just because you have a golden arm doesn't make you the voice of the franchise and how we're going to put this franchise together.
The preseason hasn't even started yet, and we're already discussing issues that could potentially be there between these two. And don't forget, Matt LaFleur is only, 2-3 years older than Aaron Rodgers, and Aaron Rodgers has this resume of so much work underneath him. How much is this going to be about Matt LaFleur legitimizing himself as a head coach within that organization, and to Aaron Rodgers?
That's a big part of this. And what I learned in the NFL as a young coach, and I was a DB coach at 28 and a coordinator not too far after that, is that guys will listen to you as long as you're showing that you can help them be successful. It doesn't matter whether you're old, whether you're young, what you look like, where you come from. If you can show the players that you can give them information and help to make them become better, then they will listen to everything you have to say, and they'll be fantastic. But if you don't show that technical competency, it's going to be really hard. And players are inherently cynical of coaches and new ideas, and they want to see, okay, how is this getting me better? How is this getting us better? I got to see Cris this weekend at the Hall of Fame, and I also saw a bunch of other great Patriots at the Hall of Fame. I saw Ty Law and Lawyer Malloy and Otis Smith, Richard Seymour, and all those guys. They moved on from, and they moved on. Lawyer we cut at the end of training camp,
right? Like a few days before the regular season.
Right, and he went to the Bills,
and they whooped you week 1.
Yeah, and then we won the Super Bowl.
True.
Yeah, it is.
None of them are Tom Brady.
Huge. We got crushed.
It was 30-0.
Anyway,
boys,
then
we went 14-2.
Let's just move on.
So, but one of the great things, if you want to view it as great, is Bill's ability to look at things from an economics perspective, from a cold, calculating what's in the best interest of the team perspective.
Coach, does he think like us?
No. He may think like you and I. It's much more of can he help us?
But the emotion is not there.
No. It's. I remember when we released Otis Smith, and I was shocked. I thought Otis was definitely Otis, fantastic guy, and it was one of those business decisions that had to be made, and it was in the best interest of the team. Is what Bill felt, and he has that ability. A lot of coaches will hold on to players for too long because there's nostalgia. You'll hear people say, of course they should pay him because of all that he's done for the organization. Of course they should do this because of all he's done for the organization. That's not the thought process there, and it helps them to move forward each year and make business decisions.
To me, the perfect example of it all is, and you were with the team when this happened, is Troy Brown. Troy Brown, 1 year, you guys are down corners. He has he's a wide receiver with real money to make in contract incentives by playing as much wide receiver as possible. You guys press him into service as a cornerback. He ends up helping you guys win a Super Bowl. After that year, the Patriots call Troy Brown in and say, hey, you're under contract for next year, and we want you back next year. But looking around the league, you're going to make X. We think your market value is actually X minus a couple million. We're going to cut you and then try to re-sign you at a discount. He just helped them win a Super Bowl and left money on the table doing it, and yet that's exactly what they did, and he re-signed, and it was a cold, calculating way to do business, even though he had just sacrificed, and you'd won a championship in part because of it, right? Like that
it was. We asked a guy in year 12 who primarily played receiver, played defensive back, played 250 snaps. He ended up unfortunately leading the team in interceptions. That's where we were at that point. But yeah, they were ready to move on. And there's a year, I think it was Troy, I forget who it was, where they were maybe 2 or 3 receptions away from hitting an incentive. And they played in the final game, but it was more of a, let's get out of this game. We ran the ball a ton. They didn't hit their incentive. And it wasn't, okay, we're going to give you the benefit of the doubt. You missed it by 2 or 3 reps. Here's your money. But it was the other way.
But here's why I find this specific instance so interesting. It's not just because it's Tom Brady, the greatest quarterback we've ever seen, and the guy who might be the greatest football player ever if such a distinction exists. It's because it's not only that he will be a free agent after this season unless they give him another new contract during the year. They can't franchise tag him. Like that's the other part of this, is he will hit true unrestricted free agency. So this is a gamble by New England, a gamble that this does not anger Tom Brady to an extent that he's going to say, you know what, I take all these discounts, we win all these Super Bowls, we go to all these Super Bowls. The last 3 years, my resume is greatest Super Bowl comeback ever, league MVP, and then another Super Bowl. And you still won't give me security past this year? Because with respect to Richard Seymour and Ty Law, all these players, none of them are me. None of them are Tom Brady. None of them have the legacy that I have here, and I still can't get 1 year past this year?
Nope.
And so, well, but that is a gamble. It's a gamble on their behalf, right?
It's not really. I mean, he's been there 19 years.
Everything is a gamble, Nick. But when you say everything that Tom Brady said, Tom Brady, how much leverage does he have? He said he don't want to play anywhere else. He said he wants to keep one uniform on the whole time. You think he's going to be getting back at Belichick? He decided to go to another team and learn a whole new system, have to go through off-season training, put his kids in another school in another district in another part of the country? You think Tom Brady's going to be like, oh, you know something? I'm going to get back at him. I think Tom's smarter than that. I'm going to give you 3 examples. Number 1 was one of my college teammates. Bill Belichick was an assistant coach. He sat next to Belichick, and you know this player, very good football player, a pro's pro. He sat next to Belichick every meeting. Belichick never spoke to him the whole year and had the utmost respect for him, like the utmost. Guy played several roles on the offense. I know 2 coaches, one sitting right here, and another one of my college teammates. Belichick let them go or allowed them to go other places, and you know what, Nick? Life moved on. You would think that all those years those guys had spent with that guy, that there would be something, an emotional attachment. He is not like us. He does not think like we do. And when we try to analyze New England, the thing that upsets me is people try to make them into something different. They try to put their ideology on top of New England. Rob Gronkowski. Oh, you know, that's the Patriot way. He's going to retire, take the offseason, lose 30 pounds, and you know what? Belichick's going to save a spot for him to come back in November. That's not the Belichick that I know. That's not the type of football that he teaches. So he's been consistent about this, and he is not going to change for any one person. If Belichick walks away from New England, it will be because he lost the power to be able to make all the football decisions.
Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get the latest from the show. Also, be sure to check out more of the best clips from First Things First, or go watch a few segments from our other shows on FS1.